much like Dudley Moore, completely by accident. And I just saw, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do this thing. And, you know, his name was Glenn Lon, and he was the less successful brother of Forrest Lon. And, of course, you know, he didn't hold out over Forrest, God bless him. But, you know, he was very frustrated that he couldn't get things to work right. So everybody's like, oh, that's a great Dudley. And I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to do Dudley. Dudley did Dudley. So I was like, back to the drawing board. But they insisted that I keep doing this character because they all thought it was very funny. So Joe knew I had done this character, and he said, I want you to play Dudley Moore in this review show. And I was like, okay. And you're going to meet this guy who will play the Peter Cook parts. Tom Conkle. He's very funny. I think you'll get on. And at the read-through, sure enough, Tom and I got on like a house on fire. And in doing that show, which won a pick of the week in the LA Weekly out here, Tom said, we need to do the two-hander that Peter Cook and Dudley Moore did called Good Evening. They did this on Broadway. And I was like, okay. And Tom said, no, we're going to do it. And I said, okay. And then 2 weeks later, he called and he said, okay, I've booked a theater. We're doing the show. And I said, oh, all right. When? In 2 weeks. I was like, well, goodness, we probably should rehearse. So we got the show up on its feet real fast, had a great time. And then in the process of doing that show, we kept kind of improvising and playing with those characters. And we decided that, hey, we could actually continue playing and develop that into some of our own original material, which we did, and that show was called Good Night. And that was basically a tribute to Good Evening, the Peter Cook and Dudley Moore show. And in that process, Tom and I found that we worked really well together as a writing team, that we were very simpatico. And about that same time, I had written the stuff that paid for my training, but I don't write a whole lot because it feels like work. And I've had a number of people go, you're good at writing, you should write more. And so I was looking for a way to enjoy writing more. And then Tom showed up, and we had a great time writing. It was just a laugh, and we would catch stuff and try and get it in the computer while it was fresh and still making us laugh. And so we began to collaborate and write. And around about the same time, I joined their sketch troupe called Lester McFlap. And we were doing live sketch shows. We did them in different places around the country at different festivals and all around L.A. And about that time, a guy came to one of our shows and said, I think we should do a television pilot. And we said, okay. So we wound up producing this TV pilot called McFlap, with an exclamation point, and not the musical, but just McFlap. So we produced this pilot, and it was greenlit for all of a long weekend before it fell through the cracks in the Vivendi sale when Universal was bought by Vivendi, and a lot of these other TV